Ladies and gentlemen, the Tesla earnings call is over. The stock is up 4.5%. Additionally, on top of the 4.5% move that you had in regular trading today, on some much better than expected, I would call, commentary on the conference call and some big news that Elon Musk shared with us. Now, you will also see here in extended trading, the S&P soared, was up over 1.5%, following some comments on trade. And, well, Trump is not going to fire Fed Jerome Powell. That is causing a 1.5% move for the S&P in after hours. I will cover all of this with you in this video. Get ready, buckle up, and let's get started. Now, first and foremost, one of the biggest developments we got on the conference call that actually sent the stock up to $156. Yes, briefly, it came back down. I do think tomorrow, though, we're gonna, rip higher. But it was on this news. This news that starting next month, Elon Musk will be spending far more, that's in quotes, far more time at Tesla. Elon Musk also said on Tesla's FSD Unsupervised, quote, "Once we make it work in a few cities in America, we can make it work in any city in America." Elon Musk says, "We expect to have thousands of Optimus robots working in Tesla factories this year. We expect to scale Optimus up faster than any product in history." Musk later on the earnings call, though, went on to say that it's almost impossible to know how fast that process will be because it's dependent on the slowest component within Optimus. There is a fantastic 30-minute long clip on YouTube from Earl Nightingale that is titled "The Strangest Secret in the World." And even in that clip that was recorded in like the 40s or the 50s, he says that the economy is not built and designed this way to prevent the winners from winning. It's prevented this way to design the losers from not losing too much, right? It's easy to wake up every day, earn a living, and live pretty comfortably being of sound, able-bodied, able-minded, right? You can only go as fast as the slowest component in the production line, much the same way as the economy is really just how the economy is built. But without getting off topic too far, if you guys want to literally change your life, this 30-minute long video changed my life probably 8-9 years ago, somewhere in that range, long time ago. It's called "The Strangest Secret in the World." It's on YouTube by Earl Nightingale. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. But neither here or there, Elon Musk thinks Tesla will be able to produce 1 million Optimus robots per year by 2030. And Elon Musk says the future of Tesla is brighter than ever. Tesla's CFO says, quote, "The negative impact of vandalism and unwanted hostility towards our brand and our people had an impact in certain markets. Despite this, we were able to sell out Legacy Model Y. We produced the Legacy Model Y until the end of February." Now, again, later on in the conference call, Elon, one of the retail investor questions asked, like, how was order flow in Q1? Was it disrupted? Did it slow down via some of the protest and quote-unquote brand destruction that we are seeing? And Elon Musk said there's always cyclicality when it comes to, buying a vehicle, where macro uncertainties, if people are just uneasy out there about the economy, they don't like to make big capital purchases like cars. Elon Musk said stripping out the broader macro uncertainty, the protests didn't do anything to Tesla's order flows. Like, things are fine. If there is an issue, it's because of the broader economy, essentially. So really dismissing the brand damage argument that a lot of people have tried to make, that I've never agreed with that. And we got confirmation that's really not a thing in today's earnings call. Tesla still expects a CapEx to be in excess of $10 billion in 2025. They say, quote, "We're still evaluating what more to do on this front." And Elon Musk says, quote, "I predict there will be millions of Teslas operating autonomously by the second half of 2026. Elon Musk also went on to say later in the conference call, after making that statement, that By the second half of 2026 is when you're really going to start to see the autonomous, efforts and investments start to pay off to Tesla's bottom line, like robotaxi. It's going to start being like a measurable segment of Tesla's business around that point. And on robotaxis, Elon Musk says, quote, "It's increasingly obvious that there is some value of having localized set of parameters for different regions and localities, such as snowy areas." So training FSD, getting FSD to a robotaxi-like state, it's going to be a little bit different here in Michigan, where it's cold and snowy 4 months out the year, versus Texas, where it's pretty just normal every day, or in SoCal where it's 65 to 75 degrees all year round. Elon Musk says that Tesla will launch its unsupervised FSD on the Model Y and not the Cybercab this June in Austin, Texas. And Elon Musk says Tesla's FSD unsupervised will be available on personally owned Teslas in several US cities by the end of 2025. Tesla says that more affordable models are launching this year, but they are working out last-minute issues and that the ramp will be a little bit slower than they had hoped initially due to current trade and global issues. Elon Musk says that he is, quote, "confident that later this year, the first Model Y will drive itself all the way to the customer from the factory, from both factories, from Texas and from Fremont." Elon Musk says the Cybercab will be built 6 times faster than the Model Y. A Cybercab will roll off the production line every 5 seconds versus 33 seconds for the Model Y, which is insane. And I think this is just a testament, really, to the quote-unquote brand damage just being false. Tesla says they had a record number of test drives globally in Q1 2025. Like Q1, as Elon said on the conference call, it's usually snowy, like blizzards, and people really, it's a slow quarter for Tesla because of, a lot of times weather-related issues. It's a slow quarter for all car companies. But you had a record number of test drives in Q1. I would say that's a really good sign for the rest of this year. I don't know about you guys, but I don't just go test drive vehicles unless I'm buying them or plan on buying it, like seriously considering buying it in the future. In fact, I've never just test drove a vehicle I had no plans in buying. And again, right here, Elon Musk says that Tesla is not seeing any demand issues that aren't macro related. Quote, "absent from macro issues, we don't see any reduction in demand." So again, pushing back on that whole brand damage argument. And Elon Musk gives us an actual number to look at here. He says that Tesla will initially be operating 10 to 20 robotaxis in Austin, Texas this June. Now that is pretty much it. That is the most important segments of the earnings call. There was, they talk a lot, they ramble a lot, but those are the things that are more or less important for the stock. So what did we learn? Brand damage, it's not there. Like, that was far overblown. New models are still coming. They could be a little delayed. They don't know. They don't know exactly when, although it did say in the first half of 2025. I think at this point, following the Reuters headlines, we were already kind of priced now for at least the second half of this year. We learned that Teslas should be able to deliver themselves to your home or wherever you're setting your delivery location to by the end of this year. We learned that by the second half of next year, we should be seeing some real numbers from robotaxis. And although we didn't get like a definitive guidance on, what I was hoping for, like 20 or 30 cities next year to launch robotaxis, that sounds like the direction that we are certainly going in. Okay, that's the definitive vibe that you got from the earnings call. A general feeling of optimism as well, I would describe on the conference call. Like, they did not sound beaten down. They sounded what I thought, like, excited, optimistic for the future, that things are going in the right direction, albeit despite the numbers that were released at 4 p.m. today were absolutely terrible. The numbers for Q1 never mattered to begin with, so keep that in mind. We also learned that Elon Musk is coming back to Tesla in a more active role than we have seen in a very long time. starting soon. I mean, I think all of these new developments were positive. You really didn't get any bad news on the conference call. It makes you wonder just, again, I assume company executives are honest and credible, but like the lack of bad news here is like, really? Nothing is going wrong. Now, there was obviously some small things, like Tesla says that they're going to be impacted from tariffs, right? Although they don't know exactly what that's going to look like. They didn't provide updated guidance. They're going to do that next quarter, I think, once they have a little bit more clarity on what trade's going to look like. But there was a real lack of bad news besides on tariffs and potentially raising some input costs. It sounded really good to me. Now, also most certainly helping things out here in after hours for Tesla, the S&P is up 1.77% here in after hours following huge news from Donald Trump. And as I talked about in the video earlier today, where the markets were up 2% for seemingly no good reason. Every time, almost every time, in my experience, markets are up 1.5%, 2%, 3%, and there's nothing that you could say like, hey, that's the news today. Usually someone knows something and there's news coming. Well, I'll be damned. Here in after hours, you got that news. And you got a little bit of that news earlier today with Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent said that the current relationship between the US and China is unsustainable and basically we need to get this resolved. I don't know if like the economy's weakening and they see something happening that we don't yet. I don't know why they're starting to panic all of a sudden today. There's an old saying on Wall Street, though, that says when policymakers start to panic, Wall Street will stop panicking. And it seems like there was a little bit of a panic today from Bessent and a little bit more of a panic today from Trump. Trump says that the U.S. is doing well with China and nearly every other country. Trump says that we are going to get the baseline of 10%. Trump even acknowledged that the stock market increased pleasantly today. Donald Trump says this is a transition period and it will take some time, something we have already heard before. Donald Trump says, I will not bring up coronavirus with China. But he says if they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal. And he says that China and other countries must reach an agreement. Donald Trump said here, this is one of the big comments, that he plans to be very supportive of China. Here's another big one. Trump says it will decrease significantly, but will not reach zero. Guess what he's talking about? The China tariff. He says the China tariff will decrease significantly, but will not reach zero. Like a 10% tariff, 20% maybe. That's what we're looking at here. Although that's not what Trump said, that's what it sounds like. And he says that China will be pleased. And here's another official headline here from Walter Bloomberg. It says, tariff on China will not be as high as 145%, and it'll come down substantially, but won't be zero. Again, 10, 20%, that's kind of the ballpark that at least it sounds like. Trump was asked if he'll play hardball with China, and he said no. It really seemed like today was a shift from Trump, from the hardball stance, from the hardline stance, if you will, to we want to make a deal with China. Come on, China. Come negotiate. Trump also says that this is an ideal moment to decrease rates, like Powell to cut rate. He says that he prefers Powell to be early, not late. This is the big one. Another big one, along with the China big ones. Trump says he has no plans to dismiss Powell. Crisis over with. Now, this was potentially a crisis in the making because if Powell was fired somehow by Trump, you would have seen the bond market implode, okay? You would have seen the bond market absolutely crash, okay? Because if the president doesn't like the Fed's decisions and their dual mandate and price stability and maximum employment, and they could just fire them and do whatever the hell they want, why in the world would you own a bond? That would be like if, Johnny Knoxville tried to run Apple. It just wouldn't work, okay? Literally, I think that's a great kind of reference Johnny Knoxville runs Apple, I would probably sell Apple, okay? Maybe he knows what he's doing, maybe he doesn't. It's not a risk I want to take with my money. Same is true for the bond market. Now, TLT here in after hours is up 1.17%, which is a massive move for bonds. And I think with Trump getting this reaction in the bond market, I think you're going to start hearing a lot more positive things on trade deals coming from Trump. Because the fact of the matter is, if we did not have the inflation threat from tariffs, which I don't think we would ultimately see a, inflation issue with tariffs. I think it would be more damaging to the economy, and you might actually see deflation, but the trade-off would be a recession. I know it gets a little complicated. Let's just stick to the basics here. Long story short, Trump says positive things, rates fall. Okay? Trump says positive things on trade, rates come down. That's the message the bond market wants, because inflation is really not a problem right now. And if this trade war dies down without any real inflation caused, the Fed can actually start cutting rates. And, well, TLT has suffered recently with the escalation of the trade war. If you start to see bond yields coming down again, that could also be very supportive to the stock market, because your equity risk premium, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that term, essentially, like, what's the difference in investing in bonds or taking risks in stocks? Okay, if TLT over 10 years is going to pay you 4.5% a year, and you have a risky small cap or mid cap, maybe unprofitable, right, company, there's not a lot of incentive to take that risk in that stock, right? You would want to own just a bond because there's too much risk, right? It would be like if someone was offering you an iPhone 16 for $200, or they were saying, okay, you could buy the iPhone 18 for $1,000. You're probably gonna get the old model for $200, right? That's kind of a good analogy to put on this one as well. Trump said again, would like to see Powell be more active in lowering rates. He also says if Powell doesn't, it's not the end. So that's a huge shift from you're late, you're a moron, all of the things he was saying like a day or two ago, to now, well, I would like to see Powell cut rates, but if he doesn't, not a big deal. That's essentially what Trump said today. Now, as far as tomorrow morning, you will get a speech from Fed Beth at 9 o'clock, Fed Goolsbee at 9 o'clock, Fed Waller at 9:35 in the morning tomorrow. You will get S&P Global Composite PMI, manufacturing PMI, and services PMI. This is soft data. This is Purchasing Managers Index. Okay, so the people that are high up in these specific fields, they basically answer a survey. Okay, so it's soft data. It's not hard data, but soft data has been moving the markets quite a bit recently, so something to definitely pay attention to. New home sales for March will also be coming out, and new home sales month over month for March will be coming out. You do have a 5-year bond auction kind of right in the middle between the short end of the curve, where the Fed really affects, and the longer end of the curve, like 10-year treasury yields, where the Fed does not affect. So based on what demand looks like for that, could also drive a bigger move in the bond market. Lately, bonds have also been driving a pretty large inverse reaction to the stock market as well. So that could also be kind of important. Thursday's our big day with durable goods orders month over month, initial jobless claims, existing home sales, Kansas Fed Composite Index, manufacturing index, and a couple other smaller data points as well. And then you wrap it up with Friday's final numbers for Michigan consumer sentiment. And again, Tesla stock at the time of recording this video is up about 5.5% in after hours. Strangely enough, this is almost exactly what Tesla was pricing in for today. It was pricing in about an 11% move. As of right now, you're up about 10%, including the move today in regular trading. So you're almost right at where the markets were pricing in. If you can rise above this, if you can start to get into the mid 250s, 260s, then you start to move outside of the range of what was priced in, and then you would likely see a larger move coming tomorrow, throughout the rest of this week. And honestly, with the kind of statements we got today from Trump here in after hours, it would not surprise me at all if Tesla is a $300+ stock by this Friday. I think you could see a pretty powerful rally in markets. If that's not obvious, I don't know what else is. The S&P's up 2% in after hours, and there's still a lot of people that are bearish. A lot of people that even thought like China tariffs were not going to move until China like conceded something, and Trump says like, we're not going to play hardball. We want to make a deal, like essentially declaring it's almost over. So that's specifically even good for Tesla. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Again, I was bullish on Tesla's earnings, although I didn't expect the biggest move following the earnings. I think the follow-through move could be even larger. And over the next couple of weeks, it wouldn't surprise me if Tesla's up $100 from here. It wouldn't surprise me if Tesla's a $350 stock if we actually do get a trade deal done with China. And as I've said before here on this channel, you want to be prepared for any outcome. Good, bad, stock falls $100, stock rises $100. You want to be positioned and comfortable with your choice on either direction, on either side. And I think you're seeing right now, great example of when everyone's bearish, it's usually not the time to be bearish. And that was the core principle of why I was actually bullish heading into Tesla earnings. Seemed like people were only paying attention to the bad news, and you know, the bad news was pretty played out. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.